We're live here at Planeta Patineta, year 2023. We're February 2023. Shit, already February. That's crazy.
Today.
So we have a really, really special guest today. Southside Chai here in the studio. I want you to give your own introduction, but I also want our listeners to know how it is that I met you or like know about you. So I started seeing you around in my local years ago when I was just like skating a little bit, but not going hard, like not going crazy. And then I came across like your events and I thought it was so impactful that you were doing this from like a community lens, or like it just came across to me that this is something that you wanted to do to bring people together, and not like there's not a lot of people that are doing that in the South Side. And you know, like we were talking about earlier, you run the show. This is your show, and not everybody can be disciplined and put in that work. And it's because you're really passionate and you have set goals for yourself. But just to kind of introduce yourself, tell our audience who you are on IG, and like, yeah, why you're on the show, what brings you in, like tell us a little bit about your skate story to start. So it's all yours.
So me, my name is Gerardo Arroyo, Carrillo. I'm from Mexicali, Baja California, right by Tijuana. A crazy place, you know, to kind of grow up, but it's also beauty in its own. I lived there, you know, till I was 6 years old, and then from there we moved, you know, as immigrants to Reno, Nevada. We drove, they dropped us off, and we met up with some uncles, you know, unos tíos. And we reunited, they brought us in. And when I was young, I was like literally seeing this as like, it's just, I don't know, it's like just like a movie, you know, like, it's like, oh, it's just another scene to this. Because, you know, when you're in that situation, when your mom's like just trying to like find a way to like come across, to go to the US and just do different things to kind of just take us to another path. And I was seeing that like, not something, you know, usual, like, maybe like my hometown friends were like, you know, they waking up the next day going to school. But me, I'm waking up the next day going to the US. So it's a crazy experience because it's like, what's going on? But you see it as like, okay, like we going somewhere, you know. And next thing I know, we're driving from...
How old were you?
I was 6 years old.
Okay.
Yeah, I was 6 years old. I think 5.
Yeah, and at that age, you still remember. Yeah, you remember.
Oh, yeah. And... I've always been an analyzing person, so I feel like that's the only reason I can also remember a lot. And just from like that experience being something that really wakes you up, because it's like you're in survival mode. You're like, your mom tells you, hey, like we are in this situation, so and so, from whatever she told me, it like just snapped and like it woke me up, you know. So like you're not like in a childish way of acting. Like you're like, okay, I'm seated in the vehicle. This is my job. I gotta stay my ass here, right here. You know, quieto, right here. And it was my brother, me, and my sister, and then it was my mom and one of her friends, who his name was Chava. He dropped us off. He was in the military. You know, and this guy was like, he would say he was crazy because he's like, oh, I'm ready to die. I'll do anything for you guys. Like, la. And he's like, anybody wants to approach me, man, forget about them. Like they can come, you know, I'm ready. So we had kind of like a guy with that type of mindset that he was just willing to do anything for us. Take us to the US. We got dropped off with our uncle. We stayed in their house, and my mom was really an independent person, so she didn't really want to depend on staying with my uncle for, you know, years. So she managed to like just, you know, the way she started up with everything, she, of course, you know, with her growing up, she raised, in a way, she raised her brothers, because my grandma was, you know, here and there, whatever. But my mom, I think she has like eight siblings, and she would take care of them like from the moment she could remember. So she's always been independent, and of course her cooking is always good.
Yes.
So the tamales, like that's how she started. She started making tamales, and she would sell them, and she would make champurrado. And we were literally, from taking the trip back to Reno, like just really trying to put all this map of, you know, like where I would go here. Now I could really, like, being a grown person, I can like you know, and I'll put things together like, oh, I used to go here. Oh, I went there.
Yeah.
You know? And we would go to places like apartments and different like gated areas and other communities to sell the tamales.
Mm-hmm.
We would go here and there and just to sell, and like a veces like my mom would just be like, hey, like go vayan a jugar, because there was a parque, you know, like a park to play. And we kind of just in that way of just, you know, playing, you know, out and being our own, like we kind of also independent ourselves, you know, and we were always in survival mode, honestly, like because my mom was just trying to hustle, make the money, and once she sold out, it's like, all right, let's go, mijos, like let's go back home, and then the next day again. So that was like a living for us, like every day. Like we didn't even know what was a weekend, you know. So my mom would take us out here and there, to McDonald's, and that was literally our favorite place to go because it had a playground. And then
this was all in Reno.
All in Reno,
right, what you're describing right now, yeah.
So that was in Reno, Nevada. We were there, and then we just started meeting new family members, and we're like, oh, that's our cousin, and we would go here and there to like be with them. And it's a nice experience, you know. And like here and there, while I'm just getting to know my cousins, I'm like starting to realize, oh, like this family's big, you know. Okay. And then over the time passing by, like skipping over to like what's the meaning of me being here with skating, I'm at a point where I'm like 10 years old, and I would always hang out with one of my friends. His name was Ramon Casillas.
Shout out to Ramon.
Yeah, no, definitely. He put me on, bro. Like, he got me right, you know?
And so you were 11?
11,
so were you introduced to skating in Reno then?
Yeah. So, and it's an amazing, interesting story that I have told many times. And I hope I don't change it up any moment, you know? But the way it started is like, we're children, you know? So we're just playing, and I would go to school, obviamente, you know? And every weekend, when Friday hit, I would call him, and I would be like, hey, yo, like, come pick me up. And I would stay at his house Saturday, and then waking up I would stay that same Friday, and then Saturday, and then Sunday, ya me venía a la casa. And then there'd be even days where, like, I'll call him, and, like, I'll tell him to get there, and he'll pick me up, and I'll just leave. A veces, like, ni le decía a mi mamá. But she knew I was going to his house. But había unos días que, like, no le decía a mi mamá, you know, like, I'd be like, all right, bye, you know, like, I wouldn't even pack clothes, I was like, I'm gone, I'm doing me, you know. When we would go hang out, and I would just stay over his house, we would play, like, with the wrestlers. We were at a phase of just playing with toys, like, and he had the G.I. Joes, and he had, like, new additions every weekend. I went, and I was like, wow, this is so amazing. And cada dia, like, you know, we were just playing, whatever. And then it got to a point where he just one day told me, hey, like, I'm not going to be able to pick you up this weekend that's coming up because I'm going to go to Mexico. At that age, like, I didn't even know my weekdays. Like, I was just innocent to a point where, like, I didn't know how to keep track of certain things, you know? I didn't even know how to, like, tell time. But it's just because I feel like growing up, I don't know, I just also didn't have, like, someone to always guide me, you know? I was just always on my own, in a way. And so it's like when I learn something, like I learn it like, oh, I need to learn it for real, you know. And but luego I would go to school, you know, and then every time when I was in school, I would just be drawing. And I would be like on my desk, like just with my fingers, like this, and like I'm a 9-year-old, you know, like just. And I remember there was a time where I was like literally like this. Like just playing, and then something in my head is like, I just want you to remember you're in school. I'll be like, and I'm like looking up, and like just how you're looking at me, there's the girl looking at me, and I'm like, oh my god, what am I doing? Like I forgot I was at school. Like I sometimes would just be like snapping.
Yeah.
I'm on my own world. Like forget everything. Like my teacher would be like, hey, like Lalo, like pay attention. Like, yeah, like, pay attention to myself. Like, I'm gonna do me, you know, like, and a veces me separaban de la clase. Like, they were always, it was like a thing, like, and there was like years where like, I would literally purposely, like, try to get in trouble so they could separate me. Because then I would that was in a way of like, I don't know how my mindset was just like, always wanting to be independent. But it's like if I had a plan, like every year, like, I'm gonna do this so they can separate me, because then that just gives me more access to freedom. you know. And then I would just be
You
in
were
my
like 2 steps ahead.
yeah,
of,
like so
how
the
that
class
could
is right
benefit you.
here, and I'm just right here in the wall. I could have colored, I could have done whatever, and like you know, that's just like I would pay attention. But from what I remember, like I'm gonna be honest, like I don't think I would ever pay attention like in school, like you know how there's kids like they're just listening hard as hell, like me van a dar putazos y llego a la casa y no, like they tell me, all right, what did you learn today? Like shit, just to get in line. Like no, that wasn't enough. That's not enough. Like tell me right now, I'm gonna be your ass, you know. But like me, I would just be like, nah, like I gotta do something. And I don't know if it was like ADHD or whatever, but I mean I don't know. I was just always drawing, and then when we do the like timetables, whatever, like you know, we'll have the sheet, and you have to. There was always like graphics. Like I would draw all around everything that was white. I need to color. I need to draw over it. You know, when we would just every problem sheet that I would just draw over it, and I would flip it, and I would just see blank space, boom, like more. Yeah, a veces there would be times where my teacher, like let's say I got a F, let's say I got a D, but then she'll be like plus points because of your creativity. So I'm like, oh yeah, like
those are the good points.
Yeah, those are the ones I want, you know. And I remember that when I was from what I'm talking, it's the year when I was in 4th grade, and I had a teacher called Miss Morris. Y pues, ella, like, she was really nice, you know. That's why I remember her. And I remember there was a time where, like, a girl was like, you know, you're not going to graduate. Like, you're not going to go to the next year. You know why? Because you're stupid.
She told you that?
Yeah, she told me that, and I was like, all right. I got up.
All right.
I got up, and I was like, hey, Morris, she said this. What the? What did you say? You know? And then
she got your back, Miss Morris at your back.
And then I did that again because it was so cool because in Reno, they had this thing where there was this one time out of the year that the teachers, after school, there was a certain amount of time. It was like a little event for them. They would go to a local McDonald's and they would just be like working. And if you went like on that day to support them just being staffs, I don't know if they were like fundraising something, but if you went like and were present there, they would give you like points for your grade. So I remember I went, and then the same thing, the girl. I was like, well, you think just because you went, you're going to get the points? And I went to my teacher. Because I would depend on her, like, hey, like, I need answers, you know? And I'll be like, hey, like, this girl said because I didn't go, you're not going to give me the points, you know? And she's like, oh, yeah? And I remember her name was Diana. She's like, Diana, I hope you didn't tell them that. And then one other thing she did is, like, I remember she called my name, the teacher. She was like, hey, come over here. I was like, what happened? And she's like, she just like slides something. And I look at it and it was an Alien Workshop Tech. I was like, man, this is my second mom, you know?
Yeah.
And I was just like, wow, that's amazing. Like, and I was just playing with it. I was like in the class. And in school, I don't know, I was just always in my own world. You know, I was just always drawing. I was doing that. I mean, yeah, here and there, I mean, I would pay attention, but I just couldn't stay like, not like oh, I need to do something, you know? But like, I would be like, nah, I'm gonna do this. Like, just like chill, but like I'm gonna do this. And then that from going back to the Mexico when my friend was like went to Mexico, I couldn't keep track of the week or days, like, so it just felt like, okay, it's been a good amount that he's been gone. I'm gonna call him. Y yo tenía su número salvado, like written under, like, I don't know, I think it was a countertop. And like me being young, like I wasn't really in my head of, oh, there's a phone number. Like, no, like the way I saw it as a code. Like, those are the digits that I type into this phone number, and I am able to communicate with him. So I would put those digits, and like that was like my code, you know, like, oh, I use this code to like access communication to get the fuck out of here and go, you know, have fun, you know. And
it was your gateway.
Yeah, I would call them, and I'm like, hey, like, logo, yeah. When I called them, I was like, they said, oh yeah, we'll pick you up. We'll be there in a bit. I tell my mom, hey, I'm gonna go with Ramon, and she's like, oh, that's fine. There's days where she was like, no, I don't want you to go. But I was like, no, I'm going to go. Like, I need to go. Like, because we were going to play and we had to finish. Like, because, you know, when we would play as, like, episodes. Like, on this day, on this weekend, this happened with the soldiers and this and that. And on the next weekend, it was just, you know.
Like a continuous story.
And I was like, no, Mom, because the soldiers, like, obviously in my head, I'm like, no, it's because the evil guy is coming back. Like, we have to finish that scene, you know? But that's just in my head. Like, no, I have to go because I had to, you know, like I have to go. You know, I
Yeah.
just have to go. I have to play. you
And
know?
I think that's reflective of like the projects that you have going on right now.
Mhm.
And how you run everything, and like nobody asks you to, you know, organize these things. You're doing this because you want to, like this is
Yeah.
your goal. But I want to shift over to, so you were in Reno, and then what caused you to move to Chicago?
Oh,
How was that?
My sister
and how old were you?
was obviously like years older than me. Obviously, me and my brother are just he's older than me by 1 year. I think my sister, I'm sorry if I don't know exact, but I think she's older by 4 or 5 years. And she had it hooked up. She's probably gonna say that, like, oh, you better not be putting no personal information with it now. But she just moved, you know. She wanted to move with her boyfriend to Chicago, and my mom, you know, she's like, no, like, I need to go with you. She didn't move on the same day, but my mom, like, my sister is bien aventada también, you know. It's like, no, I'm gone. Like, I see opportunities. We want to go. Boom, she left, and she was about it. And like that's where I get a lot of inspiration from her. Like, just the way she like works and does business, and just the way she just like right now she's in Mexico, like because she's like ella ordena toros y brincolines y cosas así, and she's about like just really seeing what she's buying. So se avientó, she went to Mexico, like not to go have fun, but I mean maybe obviously being there, okay, like voy a aprovechar. Pero ella,
she has like a purpose.
She has a reason.
There,
So she went to Chicago. And then I remember there was a time where I was playing a Tony Hawk game, and there was a Chicago map, and I called. I was like, "Hey, Selena, like, do the bridges open over there? Because there was a mission where you had to jump the bridges.
Yeah.
And it was so cool. And she's like, I don't think so. Man, this game lied to me, you know. But then like she confirmed, like, oh yeah, the bridges do open. She's like, how you know that? It's like, cause my video games tell me that. Like the games, like Tony, and that's why I love Tony Hawk games, because like they really I think they have taught us a lot, like a lot. Like that was pretty much our like articles, our YouTube, like for me, you know, porque that's one thing we would also, before he got back into skateboarding, my friend, we would play video games too, you know.
Yeah.
We'll play like Star Wars, and he had this Tony Hawk game, and I guess that he maybe he was already a step ahead, you know, before, like, oh, I want to get into skating, but he just never told me, you know. And when a video would come up after you complete a certain mission, I think they show you clips, and we would see like people actually doing that, you know. But going back to like that reason why we went to Chicago is because then my mom wanted to kind of trace after her, and the reason I'm not getting into that because it's a crazy long story from when we went to Chicago. But we went to Chicago, right, because we wanted to be with her. But then going back to like my friend, when I would go to his house, so he comes back from Mexico, and I get to his house. I just get dropped off. I knock, you know, because I have always had manners. I knocked, and I'm not just gonna open the door. Like, you know, I would knock, and I would literally be waiting like, this door ain't opening, but I would just like knock, and then they open, and I'm like, oh, I'm here. Like, okay, you know what you gotta do. I would go in his room, and he went from dressing like a Cali boy to like a skater boy, you know. And I just like look at him
from one day to another.
Yeah, you just saw the flip. Like, if I'm like looking at a whole like Superman suit, you know, I'm like Anthony shoes, swaggy baggy jeans, big shirt, and Justin Bieber hair. But like his hair was brown, cafecito. Pero bien acomodado, like no todo like no puedes ver, you know, like todo montanado, but he had it to the side, like, you know, acomodado. And I was like, I want to do that. Like, I want to be you. Like, how can you change like that, bro? Like, like, that's weird. Like, are you Ramon? And he's like, and I was like, yes,
is that you?
know, is that you? And I was like, bro, like, you skate now? And
you skate
it's
now?
just like anybody, like when you get a haircut, like, oh, you cut your hair? Like, no, duh. Like, you're like, oh, you skate? He's like, yeah. You know, he said it like he's been skating for like years. He's like, yeah. You know, like that's that, like the way he spoke, he was different.
Yeah.
And just the confidence of him saying that, I was like, man, skating does come with the package. Like, oh, you switch clothes, the way you talk, the way you dress, the way your hair. And then the one thing that sold it to me is, you know, there's parents that would be like, oh, don't run in the house. Oh, don't kick the ball around. Motherfucker, he popped a big ollie, like carpet like this. He popped a big ollie. Being my first time ever seeing a board come from the ground, so I don't know how high, but I mean, like, se miró like high, and he popped the ollie and just stomped it on the ground. I'm talking about, like, you know, made the whole house shake. As I got what experience it, you know, and I'm like, wow, like, this guy's cool.
Yeah.
Like he's not the Ramon I know. He's someone else. Like, he's a bad boy, but cool. And I was like, and then he's like, yeah, and I have an extra skateboard for my cousin, but since you come all the time, you can use it. And I was like, yeah. And if he didn't have that skateboard, I'd probably just be like looking at him. But he had that skateboard, and then that's how I got into skating, you know. Mm-hmm. I would go then every weekend to go, you know, hang out with him. And the one thing that really pressured me to, like, just learn is that he was in a way strict, like, because just the way he was as a person. It's not like he was like patient like me, you know, like the way I am with other people. But it was good because then we would go skate around the neighborhood, and he would be skating fast, and I would just be like still trying to learn how to push. Mm-hmm. And he's like, hey bro, like, if you're not gonna, like, I'm gonna leave, like, I'm gonna just go, like, if you gotta hurry up. And I was like, oh, okay. And I was just learning how to skate, and then there'll be times where I'll like, no, he's gonna cut that corner, and if I barely get there and he already cut that corner, and I get to the corner, he's gonna be gone. So that was like my motivation, like, no, I gotta learn how to skate fast, like him. Si no, me va a llevar. Si no,
sí,
like,
te va a dejar.
Yeah, me va a perder.
Sí. Also, you were like street skating, going around places. And how old were you then?
I was like 11.
Yeah. Okay, so you started when you were 11.
So then we would, and then there's this time, and I feel like certain things were just disciplines to me, you know, because there was a time where, like, as if, like, let's say from back of the yards, from where I mean, maybe like Bridgeport, you skating it from, you know, as how it's mapped out, from Bridgeport to like Little Village, like just skating. But in Reno, Nevada, that distance is just a street, just a straight street, you know, to a skate park. And he's like, oh, on this day we're gonna go to a skate park. And I was like, oh yeah, let's go, hell yeah. But he's like, no, but we're gonna go skating. And I was like, oh, like, damn, I thought we were gonna get a ride. He's like, well, I'll be, because, you know, his dad wasn't home. And that day, as vivid as I can remember, I was just pushing from it being daylight to night. It was just night. Y se hizo noche, and obviously I was young, so I got a lot to live for. So I'm like, hey man, we gotta go, cause it's dangerous, and I don't want to be out here, you know, like I'm scared. And he's like, no bro, like we're like about to get there, and it's like as if you're in California in 26, and you ves el arco de la Villita. And it was just like we were looking at a McDonald's sign. Like, it's right there, bro. All we gotta do is just get to McDonald's and make a left, and we're there. And because he was so, like, motivated to just get there and skate, that was his, like, mindset of, like, telling me, hey, like, come on, bro, we gotta go. But I was like, no, bro, like, I wanted to cry. I was like, no, like, dude, like, you don't get it. It's dark. Like wolves. You just go cuis, you know, they come out.
Yeah.
You know? And I was like, no, we gotta leave. And he got so mad. He's like, fine. He was just mad as hell. And we're just leaving. And man, but that trip, just skating, like, I was so tired. I was just like, man, like, why are we doing this? Like, I was just like, what is this? Like, this is skating? Like, what the?
Is this the skate life? Yeah. Is this what it's about? Yeah.
And then there'll be times where he'll motivate me with, because a veces su mamá los hacía hamburguesas, chicken patties. And he's like, man, if you don't land this, you're not gonna eat. And I was like, oh, hell no, I gotta land it, you know. And y luego, mi primer truco, it was ollie, right? I don't know how long, it took me forever, honestly. And when I learned it on my own board. And this is how I got my first board. I went to go buy ice cream in my neighborhood, and where I was living, I first lived in a trailer, in apartments, but luego nos movimos to a trailer park. You know, it's just trailers in one street, you know. And I would live there, and there would be sometimes ice cream passing by, and the kids, you know, the neighborhood, like, friends. And it was amazing because we would do all types of things, you know. I don't know if you guys ever heard of Kick the Bottle. So you get a 2-liter like a RC, empty it out, it's empty, and you put rocks in it, and then you just get like I would say like 10 to 12 people amontonados para jugar. You shake it, y luego la avientas, you just throw it, and the one that throws it can call out anybody's name. Like, oh, Janet, go get it. You have to run and get it as far as it goes, and then from it, like, just being thrown, it lands on the floor, y todavía, like, it scratches and slides. By the time you're running, you look back and everybody's gone. You know, porque se escondieron por las cajas, por los carros. Te tienen que ver por el zapato, like, oh, like, color shoes white, is that you? And if it's not you, then okay, like, they can't, like, be like, oh, like, come out. But if it was you, you had to kind of, like, just be honest, like, yeah, okay, it's you, come on. Luego, while he's scattered around, looking around, like, okay, you know, the person that's calling out the names, puede llegar alguien to kick the bottle. And then, if they kick it, they save everybody and it has to be it again. You know, so that's like little activities we would do. Y luego, I feel like I'm kind of getting lost. You know?
Oh, it's okay. I'll ask the next question. So, I've never been to Reno. How different was Reno to Chicago? Because, like, yeah, was it like surrounded by like a desert, like mountains? Like, how differently was like the city? Like, did you get like culture shock when you moved out here to Chicago? How diverse was Reno, and like how was the skate culture in Reno versus like when you came into Chicago? Like,
so Reno has mountains, is more like nature into it, and it was racist. Yeah, it's racist.
Yeah,
you know, like
shit. Was it segregated?
In a way.
Okay, it's like by class or both class and
yeah, because like when I took the trip, like just as my knowledge, you know, being older, I get there and I'm like, wow, like there's a reason why we live there, you know, like because you know, low wage people, and you know, you go to other neighborhoods and like, oh, aquí viven los ricos, you know, makes sense. Like I just thought we live here because we live here, you know, and now here, like it's like Chicago, like you live in the South Side, or I mean, if you have like the benefit of like affording a place, and you might live in a good place, but still like we are segregated in different ways, you know. But Reno is only different in like the fact that it just has nature. Aquí you got factories and this and that.
Yeah.
What I loved about over there, it was just really open. And allá se llama the biggest littlest city in the world, because it's really tiny. And then there's this street that goes all around it. I don't know what's the name of the street, but it's with a C. I don't know, but it surrounds all Reno. And
how was the skate culture growing up there versus when you moved to tell us about that, and then talk about what year you moved to Chicago and like how the skate community sort of accepted you here.
So from where I got lost, like going back, with the ice cream, I went to go buy ice cream. I'm gonna go back to your question.
Yeah,
but I went to go buy ice cream and I was so without like. These kids are getting ice cream, I'm not. I'm only gonna get that one cone. And they're like with their parents, you know. I'm looking at them like, man, they got it like that. My kids are, I want this one, the $5 one. I want this one. And all I had is just that one. Like, I can't even look this way. You know, I'm not getting the sandwich or the extra cream, whatever. And I was like, just sad. And I looked down and I see a big $20 bill. And then I just remember hearing my homie's voice. All you need is $30 to buy a board. And I was like, looking at the $20, and I stepped on it and I grabbed it and I just run home. I'm like, Mom, take me to Toys R Us right now. Like right now. Like, and I bought my board.
Yeah.
I thought I, you know, purchased. I'm sure there was taxes. I'm sure it was a little above, but she probably paid it off. And I got like in a way bullied because they were called fake boards, you know, like they're not like they're
like
boards.
Your Walmart board or your Target board.
I would try to skate with like some local skaters, pero como like you were saying, how was the scene? I mean, back then it was like the phase of emo, you know?
Yeah.
And the phase
big
of
chunky shoes, like baggy pants.
And the purple, and because like, you know, like I Love Boobies, you know, the brand, like those colors, they're just matching. It was a thing, you know, matching. So like purple is. But then había unos niños like, they would just be so like rude, and I would just try to like be a part of it because I was like, oh, they skateboard. And I would literally just walk to them and I would just like stand next to them. And I'm like, what are you doing? Like, why are you here? And that's what really made me think twice about like, do I even want to skate? Like they don't even like, they're not even cool.
They're not approachable. Yeah. They're just hostile.
So I was just like, and then there was like one kid that was like, nah, like I know him, bro, like let him be. Cause había un día that I was like literally like, I had a lollipop, and some dude's like, hey man, go suck that shit somewhere else. And I was like, holy shit, like I wanted to cry. I was like, and I was just holding it. I was like, damn, bro, these motherfuckers. I'm gonna tell Ramon. You know? I'm gonna tell my homie so he can tell me what to do.
Okay, feedback.
And then it was just...
Did that like prevent you from skating? Did that ever affect you in like your skate goals?
It was weird because there's never a time where I told myself, like, I'm gonna stop. But I was like, always like going with the idea, like, they were like, oh, you can't even do a trick. And like, that's when I was like, you know what, I need to learn how to ollie. Like, I need to learn it right.
I need to prove them wrong.
Yeah. And even when I learned it, I probably didn't even like go to like approach them or whatever, but I was just on my own.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember I had also approached them with my board, and like they just made fun of my graphic, so I scratched it all off. And like I would see their skateboards like, oh look, it's just wood. So I made my board look all like wood. You know, I just scratched everything, all the paper. Like I don't know how long it took me, but I just made sure that I took it off. And then I remember one time we went to Zoomies, and then I just put a DC sticker, and like it just looked different, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And that just inspired me. I was like, oh, my board looks cool now, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And I just kept skating. But it was tough because I don't know, se pasaban de verga, you know. Like maybe August.
Se pasaron de verga.
Like I'm so niño, like I'm a kid,
yeah.
Like chill, you know, no heart. But the scene, you know, as how it is now, it's really like I like it, you know. I get there and it takes me back to them old days, you know. Like out here in Chicago, I feel like a lot of people are just too hype and hypebees and all. Like I don't want to be dissing on nobody, but I just like I feel like sometimes people worry too much about how they look and how they skate, you know. Mm-hmm. Me, nah.
Me, that's
nah,
me
but
guilty?
it's just
Nah.
like I feel like sometimes, you know, people get into skating and they just do it to, I don't know. I don't want to be that person that just like tries to act as if I know, but it's just when I go out there, like you don't see anybody trying to like be on some, like, you know how they make the edits like all like with the music, and they worry too much about how it looks instead of just skating, you know, like going hard, like actually trying to get a trick. Like no, like I want to just film this and I'm good, you know. Like no, I'm gonna fucking get this and I'm gonna get that and I'm gonna do this and I'm gonna do that, you know. And that's what's different.
Like it's it's what skateboarding does and what it means to each person is different. Like some people it's about the experience and like the adrenaline rush. But yeah, for some people it's like, oh, I'm gonna look good on this clip and like this song is gonna be good and like So what year did you move out to Chicago then, and how old were you?
I was I think I was 12 or 13.
Okay.
And the way we came over here, we drove in an RV, and we were still immigrants, you know. So me, I'm just having an adventure, right? But my mom's probably like a little paranoid. My stepdad's a little worried as well. And my mom had met my stepdad, and then they had my sister when I was like 12, 11, around there, which I was happy, you know. And he drove. He's still with us, obviously. And we drove in an RV. We're on our way, and it was a cool experience because we're just seeing mountains. We're seeing all types of things. And it's just the way I would see it is like I never really thought like what we were doing, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Like until like when I got older and my mom just told me, oh, this is the reason why this happened. This is the reason why this is like that. But I was just like, oh look, brother, we're going on an adventure, you know.
Yeah.
And we're just going, and there's three things that happened to us where this is why I believe in God, you know.
On your trip to Chicago.
Yeah. Yeah.
What happened?
To Chicago. So the first time.
This is why you believe in God? Oh my God, this is I believe in God story? Okay.
Yeah, like, oh, he's religious? Nah.
Oh, he's religious.
Not in a spiritual way, honestly.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
It's hard. It's hard when it comes to that, you know? I know a lot of people kind of like try to neglect that, but I mean, I have my reasons, you know, for like the way my life is. Like, I feel like there's times where like things could have happened in many ways, and it just happened this way, where you're like, okay, who's protecting me?
Yeah. Like what
it
higher
can't
power?
Be my ancestors. No, like my ancestors, like back then, they bogus. Like,
They
you know?
bogus. Okay, so tell us a story. What happened?
So the first time we had something happen was we took the wrong route. So there's like two lanes, you know, one that goes this way, one that goes that way. You know, when you're like going to Fargo.
And at that time, did y'all have GPS?
Nope.
Map.
I don't even think so.
It was,
I
dude. Yeah, we would drive. So my family, it was 4 of us and my mom and dad. We would drive out to Mexico. Like my dad would drive, and he would buy those maps, and we would just go off those maps.
You know how they would go by it, and which is something I want to learn, because you just never know. What if one day like electricity just doesn't work? They go by the signs, obviously. You know.
Yeah.
Like, oh, lo más llamamos el 90. You know? Or el 150, like the sign, the blue sign with
like
the
the
red.
state, yeah. the highway sign.
And like as you were, like I was saying, like as you were going to Fargo, you know how there's a
that one road
just is all empty.
Yeah.
So there's one road to go this way, and one road to go that way. But we took the wrong route, so we had to like kind of do a U-turn. Big RV, like, you know, it's like a whole school bus kind of, you know. So we try to like cut through like the middle piece, and there was a road, like it was enough space to go, but we got stuck where it looked like it was gonna tip over. Yeah, and I was like, I was just looking at everything happen, you know. Like I had no mind of thinking of like what we can do, this and that.
Yeah.
But then a cop stopped us, you know, and they're like, oh, so what happened? And we just kind of made up a story about like, oh, it's because there was a trailer coming in hot and we just needed to avoid it, so we turned. They're like, all right, and we got it out somehow, you know. And then we left, and we just were. I mean, I'm glad we like left out of that situation, because I mean, what if they told us like, oh, you guys had papers, oh, la la, you know? So it's like another like paranoid feeling. And then the other time we went to a gas station and we filled up the whole tank. I'm sure they spent like at least like 200 to just like with snacks with food.
Yeah.
The cards declined. Yeah, the cards declined, and we were like
mid-trip
making sopas and stuff, and like, I'm like, damn, like I was just looking at my mom like kind of like no, like, you know, trying to like figure a way, you know. And I don't know, I was just there, and but from the story being told, all I like from what I can just remember. Well, the story being told now is like, okay, understanding what happened, the cards declined. But from my perspective, all I remember is me being by a counter where, like, you know, when you make your coffees, the register where my mom is and my stepdad, and then something just told me to look at the door, like not like, oh, look at the door, but like you look at the door, and I see two white ladies, like jovencitas, you know, they come in and they're like, we'll pay for everything, and anything else they want, like let them get whatever they want, we'll pay for it. What
state was this at? Where in your road trip?
I don't even know.
Mark.
But it would probably be like in between, obviously, Reno and Chicago. No duh. But it's like...
That in between?
Yeah, in between. Okay. Who knows? Like, we were in so different places. Like,
yeah.
And
how long was that trip? Do you remember? Was it like 3 days?
It should have been.
From here to Mexico, it's like 3 days.
Yeah, it should have been. But with all the things that was happening, it was like a week and something.
Shit.
Yeah.
¿Y dónde se dormían?
En la troca, like the RV.
We had to
and
do that.
we were freak my stepdad out.
Oh yeah, because it was an RV. Yeah. Nice. That's one benefit.
There's like the bed on top of the driver's seat. So that's where me and my brother would sleep. And there's windows, right, that are open.
Yeah.
And I feel like we were scaring my stepdad because, you know, we're like just innocent. And we're like sticking out our heads through the window, and we're like going like this to all the trailers. Like my brother's like, you know, if you do this, they beep. And I was like, for real? Beep, beep. And my stepdad was like, oh my God, what are they doing? Like, am I in their way? Am I in this and that? And then my mom was, she kind of knew, but she's like, no, my kids are having fun. But then it got to a point where like, all right, mijo's like, y'all gotta chill. Like,
this
getting scared. You know?
Yeah, you're getting scared.
You guys gotta chill. And then that's like I was saying, the ladies came in, they paid for it, and they just, I don't think it was a Ferrari, but they left in like a cherry red Corvette. But it was like a relief.
Yeah.
It was a relief. And then that happened, and then another time, the third one is
that seems so magical the way you described it. You're like, I looked over at the doors, and like these two girls came in, they paid for everything.
It's just crazy. Like I just verbally hear their words, like, oh, like yeah, we'll pay for everything. I was like,
what?
I was like,
did I just hear that?
Yeah. And it's just amazing, you know, like wow. And then the third time, I think a tire just popped, and we were just stranded pretty much. And to the point where like we were only able to make it to another state, and we were like literally gonna settle down there because with all the money that my parents like kind of just had in their pocket, obviously it was like hoping to have enough to just still have. But I think they had to like literally give all their money to like just buy another trailer. You know, I don't know how they made it happen, you know, but we were at a different state for a while, like for like 3-4 days. And yeah, like, but every time I was like getting out of places, I would try to skate, you know. Y me acuerdo que antes,
it's like a little your introduction to like a skate trip. Yeah, it's like a little skate road trip.
Yeah,
that's cool.
And it was dope, you know, something I could be like, oh, like I did this when I was that age.
Yeah.
And before we even left Chicago, I remember my mom had also bought us our first completes, you know, and I had bought a Rob Dyrdek with the shark image, like when he's like with the like a soft outfit, like a shark, and like purple Thunder trucks and red Spitfire wheels. And I had my first complete, and then my brother got a P-Rod. And I remember throughout the trip that we're going, you know, my skateboard was stuck somewhere, so I couldn't use it. So I had to sometimes tell my brother, like, hey, can I use it? And obviously we were young, so I was, you know, like, if we were mad at each other, like, he'd be like, nah, you can't use it. And I'm like, man, like, I want to skate. Like, I do this for a living, you know? Like, you gotta let me. Like, he wouldn't even use it, but he'll be like, no, you can't use it. Or sometimes he'll be like, yeah, you could use it, you know? And then we came to Chicago. We moved into back at the yards. We lived in 51st and Planeta, like pretty much where I am now still, but just like in that area.
Yeah.
And it was trippy because like, when I got there, it's like, I remember I saw my sister like for the first time again. I was like, oh,
yeah.
It's her. Like, we're here.
Yeah.
And I was so happy like to finally see her again. I was like, oh, she looked different, you know? And I just remember it got to a point where we were driving, and then it got to where we were driving in the neighborhood. And I'm like, damn, all these houses look the same, you know, because we're living we're, like this different, you know. We're just seeing apartments, and we just get to the destination. And the first thing out, like when they're loading off, I finally was able to get my skateboard. We loaded up the trailer. We put the trailer like in an empty lot. They ended up towing our trailer like later on, and they like just took it. So like that was like a kind of like a loss for our family. Cause like damn, like they really like took it. Like we could have sold it or something, you know, but they took it. And then the next thing I know, I'm just like I just started like I saw some kids in the neighborhood, and I remember when we first pulled up, I had told my brother, I don't know why I had that mindset of like thinking like not like that, but like directly, but like he was trying to do ollie, and I was like, I'm gonna show him, like, you know, cause all of a sudden like now I knew how to kickflip, you know. But then my brother's like, nah, don't do that, but just pop out and show him, you know, that you skate. And we're skating. Like, gladly that there was another kid that's skating than her. So that just, I am glad that was like the way it happened. Like, oh, there's a skater. So it made me think like, oh, skating is here too. You know, so I was happy.
So when you came out to Chicago, were you mainly skating street, or were you more
just
into skating park? Yeah,
just my neighborhood. The first skate park I went to was Wilson. My sister took us. Me and my brother, and we went to skate and got to skate there for a while. That was good. I was like, well, that's cool. There's skate parks here, you know, and got to skate there. And then I was just skating my neighborhood. And luego my stepdad, one random day, he just said, oh, look, I found these ramps. And they were just like big ramps, you know, and like I was like, oh, damn, that's dope. And then that's where like I kind of started feeling like that support, like, oh, they like what I'm doing.
Yeah.
And I remember I would kickflip off the ramps. And honestly, I don't even think I could do that. Like, it's just weird how like at that age, like when you're just so motivated to like just do a flip, like you don't even know how you did it, but you do it, you know.
Yeah.
It's just dope.
And so your family's really supportive of your skating and like your projects.
More
and
now
stuff.
because they see like, oh, you're really dedicated. Like,
yeah.
You know? Antes it was just like, like voy a ir a la calle. Like I'm
voy a ir a la calle. Yeah. Shifting over to Chalupa and like Chalupa Marca. Tell us how you got inspired to start this project, because I feel like to me it's not just the shirts, it's not just like the house shows, right? It's not just like the Instagram page. I feel like it encompasses everything that you've created, and it's reflective of your hard work. But what was like the driving force that made you decide this is what I want to do?
Yeah. Honestly, there's times where I still ask myself that, you know, like I'm like, why am I doing this? But the main, like, not that like, damn, like I'm just doing this for whatever, like, cause like I don't want to lick that off. But I was like, I need to lick that off. But
nobody saw that. It's okay. Nobody saw that.
It's all good. Can't let it just be there. But the reason I wanted to just do just a brand is because one, I wanted to kind of just be able to like share my creativity and art onto something. Obviously, there has to be like a name that really represents like, oh, like this is the brand and this is behind it. Like if it's the designs that I've come out with, like the Mocoso, the Angel, and certain things like that are like more to come. in Little Village, my local behind the prison, as a lot of people know, or Little V2, that was my local. You know, when they built it, I skated there like almost every day possible. After high school, I would literally get out of school, skated all the way from like Ashland and Blue Island all the way to Little Village every day. Nico Mia, like doing backside flips and empty ass stomach. You know, my bones are clicking. You know, together, just go skate. You know, and the way I would kind of feed myself is like I would kind of like feed. Like it's like we were both feeding each other, but I would feed people the idea of like, oh, if I do this trick, you got me on a McChicken. And I'm like, oh yeah, I got you. And I was like, okay, that's how I'm gonna eat. You know? So I would do it and I would land it. And that's kind of the way I kind of motivated myself to just be more consistent. Cause then I got into the idea of like this for you, or this, but then sometimes like the pone loco eso, like this for you, and it's not even for them, like And then I don't know, it's like I feel like sometimes I did even lose myself while I was even skating, because then I started hanging out with some other people, and like I started doing like some crazy stuff. Honestly, like it was just like a crazy experience when you're in high school. Like you're just experiencing more things out of like just being a skater. Like motherfuckers doing drugs, this and that. And at a point when I was like graduating 8th grade and then to high school, I would obviously smoke weed, and I'm not ashamed. I'll be honest, And when I would do that, and I would skate, like I was so into my skating, and I feel like I was more consistent. But then it got to the point where like, like I don't want to depend on this no more. Like I want to be able to get to the park and hope that I could even think about stretching, because I don't do that, and then just be able to control everything I do. Not like, I need to get high to even get on that level again. So like me, I don't do nothing. Like I don't smoke no more, because I just want to like have it all like mentally in my head, like but when I would, like I feel like that really like I don't know, it's like I don't know, it like held me back, so that's why I feel like doing drugs. For certain reasons it could be good, but like I don't know, like for the reason and where I'm headed, I think I failed on myself. Like I think like I let myself down, and like and what I represent, because it was just, I don't know, it was the time being of just hanging out with this group of people that were like, it's not that they influenced me, because I'm still like in a way I'm like growing up into an adult where I take my decisions, but también por la razón que like, we're gonna do this, we're gonna do that, I would diverse myself to that stuff instead of skating, and I started seeing the images in my head, like not like I'm going crazy, but like just like these scenarios, like if I keep doing that, I'm gonna be there and not here. So I need to stop doing that. And the moment I did, I lost those friends, and that was a good feeling, because I'm like, what? Now they don't even approach me like, what's up? And that's kind of good, because then I'm more focused into the fact that I'm a skate, and I don't even have to pay them respect. Like, what's up? How you doing? Like, tú vienes a mí, like if you want to say what's up, because there has been a time where I've approached people like, what's up? And they just like, what up? But then that's why like it got to the point where like, like I need to ASAP do something where I can bring everybody together. Like, see, it's the homie that like got into drugs and he's faded and he's just kind of getting lost. Like, I need to do something with the name or something that just brings everybody to feel like, that's like something that represents me. Like, let me get my shit together. And chalupa is like a word that we would all just be like, what up, chalupa? So that's why I'm like, like as how it can sound to whoever, like to some people, like when you start a clothing brand, they'll have a definition or like a word like culture or something, and you read it and like, that's cool, I'll buy your shit. Like even if it's bougie or whatever, just because it says culture or something, like a word that can connect with you, they'll buy it. That's why it's kind of difficult when it comes to just growing this brand, because it's like nobody really connects with the word chalupa. They'll like chalupa, like Taco Bell, okay, like like what are you trying to do? Advertise food, And but that whole meaning of chalupa was just like, it really changed the vibe. Like one of my homies named David Zapata, I remember one random day he just called me that. He's like, man, you're chalupa. And he has like probably a whole bag full of funny words, but like when I heard that one, I was like, it really connected with me. Like not like what I am, but like it just like, if it was like, who says that? Like who even says that? Like where you get that word from? And I just started calling everybody that, Chalupa. And then every time they would see me come to this kid, I'd be like, oh, what up, Chalupa? And we'd just call each other Chalupa. And it's just like a weird way of how it just all started. But then I was like, you know what? I downloaded the app Adobe. And I was like just trying to practice my graphic skills, you know? And the first thing I did was just scribble the logo as it is right now. Like this one right here.
Yep. The one that's on the Valentine's Day shirt?
I scribbled it. Yeah, I scribbled it as like sloppy as what it is, but it really looked like that. And something just told me like that looks pretty cool. So I like fixed it up. And where's my phone? Okay, like a phone. I do all my logos on my phone and with my finger. Like this is my pen pretty much. I just zoom in, zoom out, zoom in, zoom out. My fingers is to undo. So I would just depend on doing this. If I messed up, undo. For hours and hours and hours. I ever thought about something, I would do it. You know, I would just, even at my work, like I'd be like, no, I'm gonna just go to the bathroom and kind of just finish it up. Like literally, I would be like working for Amazon and I'll pull over literally just to finish it off. Like certain logos, like I've done like, I just literally did a Sour Patch Kids.
Yeah, I saw
and I did that with my fingers, like literally. Like I just like I need to see it through. I need to like I want to see it in reality. Yeah. So that's like why I like kind of just like I have a lot of logos that like can go on shirts, but I want to do them screen printed. But it's like money. You need money, man. Like.
So what came first, the house shows and then the brand, or did they all kind of start at the same time?
Okay, so the idea of the house shows was just to kind of get people to come and like understand the name. Because nobody else was going to tell me, hey, you should do this to branch out. Because a lot of people, from what I remember when I dropped my first shirts, like I like the logo and I came up with like the file, I sent it to somebody. They charged me, I think, pretty, not too expensive, but pretty like, I mean, at the end you're still putting money into someone else's pocket.
Yeah.
You know?
Who did you go? Modest Merch?
No, but he's a really good person.
Shout out to Galati.
Yeah.
Modest Merch. Yeah.
And so I went to some people from like it was más para la like 70 something and Western. And I have to like at the end I still had to drive over there.
Yeah, it's a lot.
But they made my first shirts, and when I advertised them, like they sold out pretty quick. So that's when I'm like, all right, like people really like, I guess, you know, dig it.
Yeah.
Then that's where I feel like I was going a little crazy because I was like, nah, I need to do something else, like right now, like ASAP. And then I was like kind of just thinking of a new design. I don't know what else I did. And I was at a point where I was being consistent because then I had done the angel, and then I did the Halloween, the Betty Boo.
Yeah.
And then I did the rose, the big C in the back and the rose.
So, question, how long, like how many years do you have with the brand?
I think it's gonna be 3 or it's already 3
years
right? This year. Okay. Because I think I started in
pandemic.
No, 2 years I think, because it was January 21st, 2021.
You still remember?
Yeah, I hope I have to, man.
January 21st. And so now you heat press your shirts, no?
Yeah, because
tell us about that, because I'm not too familiar with that machine.
Okay, so my brother he bought it, and I one day saw it in his house, and I was in my head like I need that, like, yeah. And he bought it for his purposes of whatever he wanted to do, and he was like just seeing like the compassion that I had for my brand, like I'm doing this, and he kind of just didn't like the idea that I was paying someone else to do it. So me pasó la máquina para mí. Like he's like, here, just hold on to it. And I'm talking about like if you look at the amount of numbers that I pressed down on that, it says 4,500 times. I just
it tells you.
Yeah. Okay. So I pressed that machine down 4,500, divided by like 3. Like that's how many shirts I've made. You know. So and the only reason I do that, it's not like to like make shirts and like just sell them just like that, and the reason I do it because the quality is pretty good, and the way I work, like I make sure it's good. Like if I need to press it 80 times just on one shirt, I'm gonna do it like until it's good, you know. But the only reason I put a lot of time into constantly making more designs with the vinyl, because I wanna do screen printing, you know, like I wanna put money into, but right now it's like just starting off. Yeah. But the reason to keep the name out there, I put my time Like I'm talking about, I will literally be coming out of work, and I'll put another like 6 hours into just making shirts.
Yeah, it's time consuming.
Yeah, and like you gotta heat up the machine, then you gotta
make sure it's straight, like
you know, and then I use my fingers, you know, and stuff like that. And I think this is one of, I don't know, este lo corté a mano. This one I cut it by hand.
Nice.
Because for a moment I had to depend on borrowing a laptop from somebody it was either my girlfriend or my brother's girlfriend. But I was like, no, like I just kind of want to see how it looks, so I cut it by hand as accurate as I can, and then I pressed it because I had the hoodie, and I just couldn't wait, you know. But I did it by hand, and I saw how it looked, and then I used the same sample that I did to advertise it, to kind of give people the idea, like, oh yeah, we got them coming, you know. And that's like one of the reasons why like I do what I do, because like not that I want to make crazy profit, but just to keep the name going. And that's where the house parties come, you know, like just the events for people to just kind of feel welcome and let them understand, like, I'm not just out here trying to like ball out, you know, like I want to bring you guys in and know the reason why I'm doing this, like with sharing food, and like make you guys understand, like, this is who I am, you know. I'm not just trying to like sell out and that's it and like make money. Like the reason I even do the brand is because I am creating a platform. That's what I'm doing. I'm creating a platform where like people like maybe like yourself or anybody can be like, hey, like I mean, I would probably even say it's a weird addiction when you kind of have to share things, you know, just to and it's weird, but I want to get to a point where like we can all literally just represent it for whatever purpose you want to, and I have no reason to tell anybody to be like I literally am sponsoring a kid that like he's not like the crazy like Adolfo. Like Adolfo's really good, or like, you know, like Georgie or Chris Gomez. Like I can't really send them shirts, but like I'm trying to look out for a kid that's like kind of starting off, you know, to give him the idea of like maybe like an opportunity that I wanted, you know, because you never know, él puede avanzar, he can get better, and over time while he's getting better, like we're just supporting him, you know. And, like,
it's also really, like a mentorship opportunity for you too, and to like guide them in like ways that maybe you weren't guided. So what the things that stood out to me when I went to one of your events was like the food that your mom made, because that's so culturally specific, right? And like sometimes when you go to events or like things that people cater, but like your mom actually made this food and it was so meaningful, and like you just like felt the love because your mom obviously put a lot of time into this. And it was just beautiful that you were like willing to share this with the people that showed up to your events.
My first event, we had pozole verde.
Yes,
you know?
Love it. And then I seen pictures that like you bring out an electric bull. And then you briefly talked about like how you have family members that do like they're in charge of toros and stuff.
Provide the service.
That's so cool. Here in Chicago?
Yeah, we deliver them, we run them. Yeah, for like a few hours.
Holy shit. Wait, talk about that.
Okay.
Talk about like the bowl, because like in Michoacan, like we like the family and like everybody in our small town La Rancho, like every Diciembre, like you go watch Los Toros, you know, it's a thing. So I know a lot about that, but I don't know that experience here in Chicago.
Like we might pop it out for the 11th.
Yes.
Yeah, if it's nice, we're gonna pop it out.
So tell us about that, like why you made those decisions of like, my mom's gonna make the food, I'm gonna have the bowl, like, because that's all very intentional, and I think that brings a lot into your events. They're unique, you know. It's like you're going to like a Mexican party, you know, and to bring skaters into that space makes you appreciate more of like our culture, and like all the different fun things that make up our culture.
It reminds them of culture, you know, and sometimes I'm not even aware of what I'm doing. I'm just really giving in the idea of, I don't know, it's like sharing the culture. I don't know how I can put it in words, but like I said, I don't know. Sometimes I don't know what I'm doing. It's just I give out these like ideas of, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do that, and like some people will be like, you gotta chill on the events, you know.
They've told you that?
Yeah, and I was like, nah, bro, like.
But what do they mean by chill? Like,
I don't know, but Cause one person tried to like kind of just say that as like, oh yeah, you should be careful because I mean I would say I don't know if it's illegal. Or, I mean, cause we don't have no permit, right?
Yeah.
But I mean, come on, like, are you gonna like really call like the cops and be like, hey, we motherfuckers making money? Cause like, I mean, it's not like we're really making crazy money. Like that money still kind of goes into the food.
Yeah.
It goes into the lights, like
right.
You know, so it's just like the shirts are just really like creating the cycle of like we can produce what we want you guys to vision, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why it's hard to like just create something because I don't want to be using my hardworking like 9 to 5 job money. Like no, like that's why I do what I do with the shirts. Like I sell this for the reason for even my homie. Like well he provides it to buy the tapes, buy certain equipment that we need.
Mm-hmm.
So he supports me, which is shout out to Bowser. Yeah, I don't know if you know who he is.
Yeah, I've seen him at LV too.
So yeah, so that's the homie. He's really the one also putting the su parte, like he's putting his part to kind of just run it for the cause. And I respect that because the only way people can get close to just supporting is just buying a shirt or something, you know? And aside from that, because we just been connected with just skating and filming, you know? And I've like pushed him to like get out, you know, and just be active, you know? Because I feel like I bug him too much, but he says like it's cool, you know. I mean there is a limit, you know, but I'd be like, hey, we gotta go film, hey, we gotta go skate, hey, we gotta do this, and that just keeps both of us in shape, you know. And like from what you were saying about the mechanical bull, my sister just started getting into like rentando brincolines, you know, and all types of things, you know, like certain activities for parties. You know, they even like ordered the robot, like the tall robot. And they really like advanced with their ideas of like how they want to like just produce money to kind of, you know, just raise their kids, you know, just etc. Like it's not really about like, I mean, I don't know, but that's kind of like where my mom got the idea of, you know what, like I'm gonna shoot the shot, you know, like I'm gonna order myself a bowl, you know, and the first year when she got it, she did pretty good, you know. Iban llamando órdenes like, hey, we want it for this much and this and that. But putting it together, it is like work, you know. It's really heavy. It's really heavy. You gotta be careful.
Where do you store that?
In the same space.
Is it okay? I didn't see it there.
Yeah, because
like in the back. Yeah.
And because when you went, I think we only had one.
Yeah.
And like now, like that's where like most of the time I use my room as storage, or we just figure it out. And,
So. Are you open to like collaborations? Like, cause I know that
I'm not even close to the mic.
No, you can hear. Yeah, it's good quality.
Restart.
¿Qué te iba a decir? I lost my train of thought. Fuck. Oh yeah, collaborations. What do you have envisioned for Chalupa in 2023? Because I know a lot of people are helping you out and like you
obviously be a billionaire.
Win the lottery.
I do.
Right? Pero like, are you open to collaborations and like,
always,
always. And how do you see it growing? What's going to be different for Chalupa 2023? Yeah, what are your goals? Because I know you maybe want to talk about the event next Saturday.
Yeah, it's on 11. Right? So it's going to be our Valentine's to display our Valentine collection, which my homie Oscar Bowser, he's like, don't be putting my name out there.
He said that?
Nah, but, I mean, come on, I'm like, I don't know if they really want that, but he designed the characters.
Nice.
Yeah, and the only thing I kind of had to do is just retrace it to put it on my program and cut it out with the vinyl, because we're gonna have them screen printed, you know. And I'm sorry to Modest Merch, I be hitting him up, and he even says it on his stories, like, don't fuck around with my time, you know?
Oh, yeah.
And I like people like that, because they're right, like, come on, I'll be fucking around with the time. And I'll be like, I still be asking questions that I should know, you know, like, hey, so, if you print this much, you know, and there was a time, the first time that I worked with them, I feel like a piece of poop, you know, because I had like so many emails, like it's like we were like chatting, you know?
Yeah.
And nobody wants that, like, I didn't want 2 emails, like I was, like, not spamming them, but it's like, 1, 2, 3, 4, like, muchos, you know, and I'm like, man, I felt bad. But I like his work, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, he's really professional.
And I was gonna work with I had an idea of working with him. I don't think I reached out to him, but I'm looking forward whenever I work with somebody. It's either him or someone that I do depend on that does good quality. But because I wanted to get on screen printing, but I was like, you know what? Like if I can make them myself, might as well. You know, I want to support you guys, but then I also like I'm in a budget. You know, and if I really want this to produce, I gotta do it now. So I put my money into it to make the shirts. And don't get me wrong, this is why I rather sometimes try to shoot my shots to screen print them, because when you print it, you know, the vinyl gets cut out. It's not like, it takes so much to peel it. And I be in them more like, just, like, but I mean.
So you do that for every shirt?
Everything. Yeah, like, everything. I had to peel them. And there's times where I'm real, like, careful with my stuff. So like, there's times where like the machine doesn't really cut a certain thing. So I had to kind of recut it with the X-Acto knife, and I had to do that a million times. Like for the little girl on the Valentine's, there were certain details that weren't fully cut to match. So I had to shape every time.
And those are things that I guess consumers don't really know about independent businesses. You know, like.
And it's not like we can be like, oh, I do this, I do that. Because you don't want to be that. You want to brag about what you do.
But it is a lot of work, especially if you do it yourself.
Well, my back be here. I think my back's here to talk about this. Like my back, my neck.
And then, so yeah, that's a lot of like the technical process of the shirt making.
You're getting burned. I have a burn right here.
Really?
The machine was like, oh, you burning myself. And there was one time the machine, for the first year, I didn't know I had a magnet. So you just push it down and you let go, right? And it stays still for 15 seconds. So for the first year, I was putting weights on it. I was holding it down for the 15 seconds, like, just waiting, bro. Like, I don't know. And then one day I just pressed it down and I was like, oh, it got stuck. Okay, that's good. And the time that I had done that, I wasn't really encountered with the time. And then I was just like doing something and the machine just hit me hard as hell. Because it bounces in a way. It bounces and it has
this little,
But it just went boom. And it hit me hard as hell. And that, it's just like, you know, it's just little things that happen, you know. And it's fun though.
So tell us about it's not a gig, but like how you got invited to sell your stuff at Penny Whistle.
Oh, so the way that started, and that's a really interesting one, because that's another way where I shot my shot, like of I need to advertise this, like I need to just keep advertising. I need people to know. You know, like I can't depend for people to visit my web, like I don't even have a website just yet, but the account. And the wonderful thing about just doing that, it's like I was able to interact with people. I was able to interact with like my buyers, you know, if they bought my shirt.
You're building connections.
And the first time that I went to Penny Whistle, I remember one of my homies, he took me there once, and I liked the vibe and environment, all types. So I was like, and then I went another time, you know, and I like dancing, you know, and I went there, you know, I danced, and I was just having fun, and they kind of just remembered me for, oh, you're that dude that was doing this and that, whatever, you know. One random day, I was just like, I'm gonna shoot my shot. I'm gonna take my rack. I'm gonna take my shirts, and I'm gonna just post up outside, and I'm gonna do that every day that I had available. And that was when also I was unemployed, you know. So when you also in the need, like you have to figure something out.
Creative ways,
So I was outside every day, and then I started getting more like known with the people, even from the bar and there. And then one time, this guy named Marcos, which is a good friend that works there, he's real familiar with the people, so he gives me the chance of posting up. You know, one random day, he was just like, hey, like I see you out here, like just come inside and just post your stuff.
Nice.
And then it got to a point where like I was really only able to go there Tuesday and Thursday, and like now that I have a job, I really only go like Thursday, but I'm fine with that. And it just depends on the way I sell, like the salesman strategy, you know, you can't just post up, like, and that's one other thing that people don't get, like, people don't know my side when it comes to sales, like, I'm a whole different person, you know?
Marilyn did mention that, because I had told her, like, oh, I want to bring Jerry to the show, and she's like, he thinks like a business person, like, sometimes I don't understand, he's so business. So, yes, I've heard that you think
like so it's like, I be just, like, you know, just taking advantage of every, like, person that would come by, like, hey, you know, and from just experience, now I've learned like what to say, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I don't just be like telling them something boring. Like I get their attention, you know.
Yeah.
I'll try to connect their like, you know, or I'll give them a compliment and get their attention, you know. So there's like been times where someone like said like mojó la camiseta y voy, I was like, man, you need a new shirt, and you know we got it right here.
Yeah.
He's like, you know what? Let me get one. He's like, how much? 40. And a lot of people do question me about why I am so pricey, but at the end it's like, it's as if it was designer clothes, but trust me, I don't want to be too expensive, you know? That's why I am trying to like bajarle a los precios, but it's just difficult, I mean.
And like, you know the time that it takes to make each shirt. I feel like whatever price that you want to price your shirts at, like, it's totally valid. Like, that's up to you.
Yeah.
And your work ethic, and you know how long certain things take.
Yeah.
You know? And people will pay $40, $50, $60 for your shirts because they want to support you.
No, yeah, there's been people that don't hesitate, like, let me get 3. I'm like, alright, like, you for real?
Yeah.
Like, I hear you be shocked, like, you're gonna pay 30, 30, 30, I mean,
30, 30, yeah.
You know, like, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Bet. You know, and I keep those people in mind, right? Because I'm real grateful for everybody that has purchased a shirt. You know, I'm grateful for everybody. You know, and there's just been like from being in Penny Whistle, which shout out to them. You know, I've been just consistent with like trying to like sell and also connect with people and like, you know, have interactions and conversations with them. You know, not just like, oh, here you go buy. Like, oh, like, you know, talk to them about, you know. And then that's where like I kind of just took advantage of, hey, like, you mind following, you know, if you don't mind, like, click it.
Yeah, share it, yeah.
Yeah, and that's how I got known. And then every time I walk in there, they just be like, oh, Chalupa, and they just scream Chalupa, you know, like they scream it. And even before they got strict with the IDs, like me, I could walk in there and I don't even have to make line, you know. So that's like a benefit. Yeah. And there's this one time where I came with a group of people. And I just give the people the nod, like, oh, they're with me, I'm good. And he was like, big old guy.
Got you.
And he just walks in, and like the people that I brought into the bar, they're like, it's that easy? Like, you got it like that? And I was like, I mean, whatever, you know. But they're like, no, like, bro, like, damn, you got it like that, you know. It's like, it's just, I guess, you know, over time, you know, people get to know you and your work ethic, you know, like they respect that.
Yeah.
You know, they respect more the hungriness you kind of have, you know, towards it. And that's really what it is, you know, and I feel like that's really what's paying off, like just the time that I put.
Yeah.
You know, with just giving anyone else that's kind of helping the idea that, oh, we're still producing this, like, we're not going to stop. And we can't. And there's been times where, like, I'm done. I can't do this no more.
Yeah, do you take rests? Because
I feel like I don't.
You have a job. I don't know if it's personal, but like, you skate and you have a family and you organize all this stuff. So like,
and then Bowser, he's like, we need stair tricks. I'm like, oh.
He's like, you gotta get.
We need stairs. Cause we have enough clips for a video.
Yeah. Dude, that'd be so badass if you like, what is it called? Stream. Like, you show the video at one of the events.
Oh yeah.
That'd be so awesome.
Cause I have a video part that we filmed, but I have one in the makings.
Yeah.
And I just have lines, you know, but it's cool.
Yeah.
But I like how he's like still trying to push me, like, we need stairs, like and I'm in my head like, bro, you don't know how my ankles are.
Yeah.
Like,
you don't know how my mind feels.
How I hear stairs and I'm like,
yeah.
Like, what? You know, what is it?
Yeah.
And I remember I used to jump off them all the time. I mean, I've seen him jump off, like, it's fun, man, but it's just, yeah, cuando te lastimas, it's like,
it's relying on your body.
You're like, you look at a force there, like, you're on top of the Sears Tower, like, whoa, you know, like,
yeah.
Danger, you know.
Yeah.
But he'd be telling me that, and that's something that I still try to push myself, like, man, so, I mean, there's kind of one reason why I'm even doing this brand, so I can still try to produce my skateboarding with love and try to, like, get back in my zone, you know.
Right.
I know I can jump upstairs, but it's difficult. More when you're like, I feel like I already have, like, give myself the ideal, like, I can't, but I want to, you know. And we're working on a video. So, like, apart from this, so I go skate, trying to, like, bust my butt, try to get these clips, try to, like just everything. And then there'll be times where we're done filming, he goes home, and I'm home. And if I have, like, shirts available and I have certain things that I can be printing on them, I turn on the machine, I'm 3 to 4 hours in. Producing,
yeah.
making a label, making a flyer, making this, making that, like I just feel like I can't rest because like I feel like that time that I do rest, which I should, at times, and when I do, I don't rest as I think I should, like a normal person. Like,
what is for you? What is resting?
sometimes it's weird because I would assume that even resting is just doing what I like. I don't know, it's weird, but obviously resting would be sleep, Pero se me va la onda, like I'll be looking at the time like I'll just do this for a little bit, and then next thing I know it's already like the sun is out. I'm like, wait, hold up, go back down. Like I need to go to sleep.
Yeah.
And there'll be times where I like catch myself doing an all nighter for no reason, like for a reason, from what it is now.
In a way, like your creative projects are the ways in which you rest, or like you allow yourself to kind of rest outside of like your job and like skating.
Yeah, and because there's times where I'm like, okay, I'm gonna go to sleep, and I think of an idea, I'm like, nope, I messed up.
Oh, I know.
Get to it. You better make it
late night
thoughts,
sleep. Take notes. Yeah, that's me too.
And I want to get into writing more, because when I was younger, like I've always been into creating. I used to write like stories. Like I had a whole
you have a lot of stories. You got a lot of stories.
Like my brother was like, bro, like you're a creative person. I had just sheets of paper, and it was a Cookie Monster story.
Yeah.
And it was like man, I was already at a point where I was making chapters. And then I had that. I had even made my little book with the teacher, because when I was younger in school, one thing that my mom would also do is like she would be like, hey, like my son like needs special help, not like crazy special help, but like just give him a little more like boost on, like help him out. A veces me quitaban, like they were like I'll see a teacher, like a counselor, and I'm like, oh, like finally getting out of this class, and she'll take me away. We'll go to like a studio, and she'll be like, yeah, just go do whatever you want. I'm like, okay. And then there's a time where we're working on a book, and I even got to read that book in class.
Yeah.
And the book was called, I think it was called Dale Leaves Earth, and it was about a dog that, and it's crazy that like at a young age you think like this. The book was literally about a dog that finds a spaceship of aliens. He like, oh, I like this shit. He goes into the spaceship. He se da cuenta, and he's just looking around. He sees the aliens. The aliens go back into the ship and they take off, and they leave.
With the dog?
Ni cuenta que se da, and then he gets back and he goes in. He's in Mars, and then he goes into Mars, and I don't know. I think he digs to find a bone, but I think he then finds gold. So I mean, I'm assuming he gets friendly with the. Maybe if it was a deeper story, he gets friendly with the aliens. Then he takes that gold and takes it back to Earth to the poor people, and he gives all that gold to the poor people when he comes back to Earth. And that's kind of just like the way, yeah. And I don't know. I still have that book somewhere. It was just like papel over hardcover, a black paper, and then we I don't know, is that plastic paper? Like,
plastic, yeah.
But they were like, when they make posters for class, they like put plastic.
Like wrapping paper.
Yeah, wrapping paper. So we wrapped every like sheet of every story.
Oh, those ones, yeah.
And then we put the staples, like the holes, and then we tied it up with strings, and it was just like this.
Oh, I know. Yes, I'm like envisioning it already.
Yeah, so I hope, like now that I'm reminding myself, like it's just the way I think. Like now I have to go home and find it. Like I have to, because I actually want to publish that.
Yeah, no, I think that would be really great. Yeah, I think that even like how you're thinking, like how disciplined you are, and like the way that you tell stories now, like you could further develop that story, and like people will read it. People want to know like the things that you have in your head, creatively. Wow, this is great. Like I want to buy that book now. Pre-order that book coming in 2023. So I have 3 last questions, and try to answer these in like one word or like a sentence. That's kind of like the last. I usually ask people like 3 last questions. Number 1, what comes to mind when you think of the word community?
community.
For you, what does that mean for you, and like thinking about the project that you have now? Or like
maybe just the way anybody would kind of describe it, but honestly, I don't ever think like I've ever even been part of my community because I've always been diverse to like going here, going here. So even when I think about community, I would just give you that word of, oh, it's like unity, like todos juntos, but like I don't even think like when I had to come to community, like I never really made myself a part of it. I just always been like
that you've inserted yourself.
Like community here, so. But I would just say like it's like a group of people just working together.
Yeah, which is what you're doing. I feel like you're a community builder. Like you establish communities through your Chalupa project. Yeah. What inspires you? And you could go on.
Yeah. Another hour.
another hour.
Then getting lost talking about something else. But what inspires me is just creativity, trying to create, and the fact that there's even been times where I've created stuff and they've been deleted. Like now I've had to reproduce that again, and just trying to like put everything out there, as much as I can, and kind of like, pace my creativity on something or how so, But that's really what inspires me, just creativity and creating.
Yeah.
And being creative, because also like when it comes to skateboarding. And you're creative, you have your own way of skating, the way you express yourself.
And what keeps you motivated? Either like in life, in skating, like what keeps
just like everything my mom has done for us, I feel like I have no way of like look back and just sit on my ass, like that's what really motivates me. That like she's like got to a point where like even when I was in high school, she was out there, in downtown looking for like immigration or help sources, to like give us like that benefit of getting becoming permanent residents, and like she managed to do that to a point where like now like I think that this year we're gonna finally become citizens, so like from immigrants to like have that happen is like it's like magic.
Yeah, it's amazing.
So and it was I'm talking about like 8 years later, like it's people that just kind of go through that process. But we found a good like lawyer and a really nice person. I don't remember what was her name. But yeah, she managed to do that. And for that reason, I just feel motivated.
Yeah.
I feel like she's done enough for me to like not sit on my ass and like not do something for myself. That way, like maybe not like just me also having a daughter, which I don't really mention. I want to get to. No, it's all good. It's all, I'm not like I said. I'm not ashamed of anything.
Yeah.
I can be straight up forward about what I do and what I have. But just her individually, like that also pushed me. Like the moment I had my daughter, it just like flipped the tortilla. Like it's just like all right, motherfucker, like this now. Like you gotta do everything 10 times more.
It's no longer about you. Yeah.
Yeah, and even if sometimes I do feel like I'm like focused a lot about myself, but it's for the reason that I want to produce what I'm doing now. That way, like I get to a point, like as how somebody said, like I want to get to the point. Like I love doing what I'm doing, right? But I want to get to the point where I'm not doing it anymore. Like that's how I feel, where I could just rest or I could just chill and like who knows? Right now I could just be at a point where I am struggling, and this is what I need to do to survive, Like I might not have it easy, if I do, I just take advantage of that. Like everything I have puts me, the help, the support, family, people like you, inviting me, making me feel important. That's what motivates me. That like people still kind of recognize me for just what I've done, from that little kid that like went from being amazed of just a skateboard, like from now like making a difference, like choosing to not just do tricks but like build something out of it.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's so important to have because I think that brings people together, and like you should feel proud of yourself because sometimes I think we're really hard on ourselves and we don't see everything that we've done, and that's one of the reasons why I'm going on a tangent, but like why I wanted to have this podcast because I wanted to give people the space to talk about themselves, and I think through skating very rarely do you get that opportunity because like you're focused on your tricks and like I do this, But like it's like through hanging out with people, it's like bits and pieces you get to know people. But when you give someone the space to just talk, that makes you feel or like recognize like how long, like how like the journey has been, and appreciate like where you are at the present moment.
Because I feel like it's really also good when people talk, you know?
Yeah.
Because people have a lot to say. And it's good when like you just let it all out, and sometimes you like just glad like I know I understand there's certain people that like don't like having their business out there. Like I would assume this could be something like that's like just personal, but I mean I'm okay with just expressing and sharing, you know, because it's also like something that people can look at this video and be like, oh okay, then I'm doing good, you know, like I'm doing kind of what he's doing. Like I think I was, you know, and like you said, people are hard on themselves, and I feel like that's like the thing about like growing up as a Hispanic, like we are giving these expectations of like, man, you gotta get at this point where you know you just have to do this, do that. Yeah. My mom never really gave me that pressure, but in a way, that pressure's still there, you know. Yeah. Because you see how you live, the lifestyle, and like how you wish you could just, you know, somehow make $1 million and be like, here, mom, like for whatever you done, like just chill. Yeah. But we do also gotta focus on ourselves and, you know, help ourselves before we help others.
Yeah. Yeah. Last question. What, aside from skateboarding, I asked this for everybody, what makes you truly happy in life?
No, that's a crazy. It's just because, who knows, man, just being alive, honestly.
Yeah, taking it day by day.
Being alive and being able to still connect and be around people that are amazing. And just keep doing what I love, you know. Yeah. That's pretty much it. That's what really makes me happy. Like the camera's probably like, no, but he's smiling. But I'm happy, you know. Like there's hard times, you know, where you feel like you're not happy, and there's been times where like I felt like I don't know if it would be depressed or things like that, but like we all have those times where like we don't really know what we're feeling, you know. Like there's times where we would need therapy or things like that to kind of help ourselves things, because like who's really there for you, you know? It's just yourself. You look at yourself in the mirror and you're just like, am I good enough? You know, we grow with these also insecurities. We grow with certain things where like we gotta kind of like mold ourselves into understanding like who am I, based off like who you're around. Like sometimes you like are in a group of people, and that's why we also change the way we are, because we're like, okay, I want to fit in. Right. And I feel like I used to try to do that, but yeah, like llegué a un punto where I'm like, no, I'm gonna do me. Yeah. And that's where I started feeling more attraction towards like what I do, like not who I am, but just like people being interested in what I do, you know? And that's just what it is, you know.
I think also like believing in yourself. Like I remember when I was skating LV2 and you told me like you just need to tell yourself that you can do it, and like, imagine yourself doing it and you're gonna do it.
Because at the end of the day, you're like you obviously speak to yourself. Yeah. And you're closer to tell yourself I can't. Yeah. I suck. It's like why negative, and not that like, oh you shouldn't be negative, always be positive. Yeah, you know. But like no, I mean honestly, it's like there's both sides of everything. Yeah. You know? Sometimes I be so negative. Honestly, like people see me happy, but in that smile, I'm sometimes just so hard on myself. You know, I'm so negative. I'm so this like. There's times where I could like be that like asshole, but I choose not to because I don't want to like throw that hate or bad vibe to somebody. Right. I'll just like, if anything, I'm gonna treat them the way I want to be treated, and that's why I feel like I've gotten or gained that respect towards people, because it's like, wow, this person is literally not trying to be an asshole. Like, he's not choose to be nice because I'm a nice person. Like, no, it's just I got my like life going on too. But what else do we got? Like we have a life to live, and like what else can we ask for? Like it's just be nice to everybody, you know. That's all people need to be, like be more genuine, considerate, because you never know what people are going through. You can tell somebody like one little thing and you could ruin their whole day. Yeah. You know, and you just gotta accept everybody. You know.
Do you have any consejos para Southside skaters, Chicago area?
Consejos for them, it would probably just be like focus on yourself, you know, do what you like. If you're into art, if you like to dance, express yourself, you know, stretch and expand and all that types, so you can really reach out to those opportunities, because that's the only way you're kind of going to reach out to those opportunities, like with just going out there, you know.
Mhm.
And that's about it. Just focus on yourself and
Like
accept
believing
yourself. Yeah,
yeah.
accept yourself.
Believing yourself.
We're all unique, you know.
Yeah.
We're all unique in many ways.
All right. Any last shout outs?
There's so many, you know. Bright Skate Shop, Prosper, First Gear, Classic Skate Shop from Reno, Nevada, biggest little city. Everybody and yourself, Planeta Patineta, and everybody that just kind of like looked into my eyes and just felt like I'm gonna help this guy out. You know, I shout out everybody. You know, and there's so many names from what I've called out. Like it's just, you know, the first thoughts, but I'm not forgetting those other people. Like anybody that just put an effort into like what I'm doing, and if it was just to like give me a shirt or any little thing, like, I appreciate it. Shout out to them. You know. And keep doing what you're doing, and it made a difference, you know. They made a difference to me.
Yeah.
So, and that's one of the reasons why I'm motivated, because I don't forget anything that anybody has done for me.
Yeah.
And if there's times where like se me va la onda, like I don't think of that person, but I have it in my heart. And that's really what holds more, you know, in my mind. Because I mean, so everywhere, like making shirts, making this and that, you know.
Yeah.
But that's what it is, you know.
All right. Thanks for coming out. Really appreciate it.
I probably got told by now.
No, don't say that. Don't say it. But yeah, thanks for listening. Thanks for coming out. Really appreciate it.